Welcome. This is a short video to give information to students due to be assessed in GCSE History at the Thomas Hardye School in 2021. So we haven't done any revision schedules so far given the current lockdown, but we are going to be beginning revision after half-term, after February half-term, of the GCSE history content. And this is crucial because, as we know, history is such a content-driven subject. There's a lot of information that we need to be able to remember. So it's really important that we space revision out over the coming months in order that we can manage that alongside finishing the studies of the courses that we've still got to go. So we're going to be basing our revision plan on the idea of retrieval practice, i.e. that we want to recall information by answering questions and doing lots of quizzing, which will strengthen our knowledge retention of that information. The more times we recall information, the more likely it is that we are going to put that into our longer term memories. So after half term, Year 11 history students will be given a revision schedule, and it will be given to them electronically through Microsoft Teams. Once they get back in school, they will be able to have a paper copy. And this breaks up the GCSE course into manageable chunks, and the writing on the revision schedule is taken directly from the GCSE specification. So it really is a kind of belt and braces approach of everything that the exam board requires students to have a knowledge of. The idea is each week students should look at the part of the specification indicated for that date, and they should be doing active revision on that topic. That's the basic idea of it. Okay, so this is what it looks like. GCSE at the moment has changed a little bit. We've had a bit of reduced content, and it currently comprises of 3 units. America, Opportunity and Inequality, 1920 to 73, which students did at the beginning of Year 10. Or when they were in school. Conflict and Tension in Asia, which comprises a study of the Korean War and the Vietnam conflict, 1950 to 75, which was done partly in school in Year 10 and partly during the first lockdown, and Elizabethan England, circa 1568 to 1603, which students have been doing since September and are due to be finishing in the next couple of weeks after half term. So the way that we have decided to organise revision this year is we're going to focus the revision schedule on the America topic. So you can see there all of the first 2 months look directly at the America unit that students did in Year 10. Then the revision schedule goes on to Elizabethan England, which by the time it gets to revision Elizabethan England in May will be less familiar to students because they won't have done it just recently. The reason we've not put Conflict and Tension on the revision schedule is because we intend to reteach that. We think we'll have some lesson time left over after students have finished the Elizabethan England topic, and that's what we'll be recovering in lessons because that was the thing that some of us missed the first time round in the first lockdown. Okay, so in order to support students with their weekly revision, students access to a structured worksheet to complete via Teams. So you can see an example on the top right here. Now, if students don't want to use this worksheet, and I'll be going through some suggested revision strategies in a little while, they prefer to do their own revision, they know exactly how they best revise, then that's absolutely fine. When teachers check their revision, what they'll be looking for is to see that students have done something of good quality covering those aspects of the revision schedule. So it doesn't need to be this worksheet, but this worksheet is there to help structure it for students that would find that useful. And students should use their Year 10 notes and or the revision guide, which will be partly uploaded to Teams to help them complete this. As well as that, we will be setting a weekly revision quiz using the forms template on Teams, and that will be to check this knowledge again to see if their revision has been successful. So whatever they've done, whether it's their worksheet or whether they've done their own revision, has that knowledge stuck in their minds. And teachers will check this regularly. Using the Teams is very helpful to do that. It's very easy to check it on Teams, but in a minute I'll also be suggesting that students have their own revision folder, be that electronically or on paper, that they've got to collect everything together, because obviously we're revising for this now, but whenever the final assessment takes place, they will need to have this to look back over again. Now, in order to support students with this at this fairly challenging time in their education, we have decided that we will allocate one of their 5 history lessons a fortnight for revision. So the teacher of each class will let the students know which lesson that will be. That will be 1 hour a fortnight. So it might not be enough time to do all of the revision for the 2 topics, for the 2 weeks worth of things that are included, but it will at least be some time in order to help them prioritise this really, really crucial, important part of their GCSE study. So what should students do? Well, to be successful, make sure that you've got the revision schedule downloaded. It will be on your Teams page. Your teacher will be directing you towards it, and make sure that you're looking at it regularly, weekly, and you're getting into the habit of checking that off. There's a space on there for you to record what you did to revise, and also for you to record your knowledge test score. So you can help monitor your understanding of the different topics, and help you reflect on things that you find easier and things that you might need to return to. Get organised. Some of you might still have work in school, but hopefully we will be coming back into school at some point after half term, so that you can collect this and take it home. But get together all of your exercise books, any of the work that you've got for history, whether it's electronic, maybe print that out, or in different places, and get that all sorted out and make sure everything's stuck in so that you want to actually spend time looking at that. As I said, make sure you've got a place where you keep all your revision, because your teacher will check this at some point. And there will be resources available, so we will make sure that there's things to access on your Teams pages, such as videos going through the revision worksheets each week, and copies of the relevant revision pages from the guide to help you. And also, don't forget, you can contact your teacher if you need to ask anything in particular, whether that's specific or whether that's just in general about revision. Okay, and it's always a good idea to play to your strengths and think about what's worked well for you in the past and what you might implement going forward. So on that, I've sort of thought about what tends to work best in history. Now, obviously, there's quite a lot of information on this page, and you might want to pause the video and come back to this. The top one that tends to be really popular is flashcards, because this is not only providing you with some revision at that time, but it's a format of you quizzing yourself. Someone else can quiz you with the flashcards for you to check your knowledge. Once you've made them, you can use them endless times, can't you? And you can use different colours, you can use subheadings, you can use headings, you can use retrieval questions on the back to help you make those more user-friendly. If you haven't heard of the Lightner method, do check that out on YouTube. There'll be videos of it, and that's just a really easy, simple idea for how you can use your revision cards at increasing intervals to make sure that you're focusing your time on recapping the knowledge that you find most tricky, and you could use that for all your subjects. Mind maps, this tends to divide the crowd, but they are a good way of sort of grouping together information on a topic which might be interlinked. Just some people like to create revision notes. In the revision guide that we recommend, which I'll talk about in a minute, there is boxes throughout the revision guide with sort of suggested tasks, so you could do those. And in history, timelines tend to be a good thing. In the conflicts and tension unit in particular, that might be quite helpful. But in general, it's just an easy way for you to recap what has happened in a period and to put things into context. Now, once you've done some recapping and recalling of your knowledge, it's really important that you don't stop there and that you make sure that you practice applying that, because ultimately it's through the medium of the exam style question that you will demonstrate this knowledge. So on each of the weekly revision sheets, there will be a practice exam question, and the feedback video will talk about that as well. But it's really a good idea for you to see as many of these as possible. So if you do have the revision guide, you'll notice that there's lots in there, and at the back of the revision guide there's also answers and hints for you to think about what it could have included. And if you write any responses, your teacher of course will be happy to look at them. So I did mention revision guides. There are various revision guides you can get for AQA history. Do bear in mind that there's not one set syllabus for GCSE history. Each centre will just pick the units from a whole choice that they prefer. So you can get one book that covers all of the GCSE units, but it doesn't tend to be that detailed. This one on the left-hand side here, the white one. Our preferred ones are these ones, which we did sell in school, but we're not selling in school at the moment. You can get them online. And they're just a bit more detailed, lots more exam questions and things like that. But as I said, some of them will be available on Teams, parts of them to the revision worksheets with. So what can parents or guardians do? Well, it's a tough one, because I think anytime a parent mentions the word revision, it tends to create a bit of a bad atmosphere. I remember that myself. But there are things that you can do to support your child. Quizzing them on their revision, what they've created. Is it the worksheet they've done? Is it a flashcard? Is it mind maps? Getting a time, each week to sort of just quiz them on their revision, and maybe agreeing that in advance can help to mean that you're not asking them about what revision they've done all the time. It's sort of a set agenda each week. Checking they've got access to things that they might need to help make revision more fun, like nice highlighter pens, paper, card for flashcards, so it's not a chore having to sort of scrabble together these things. Removing technology such as phones, Xboxes, any other games consoles are available for set time periods so that students can really focus. And just ensuring that there is something to look forward to. There's breaks, there's they're having a work-life balance, and it's not sort of taking over too much, because it is a long road ahead to whatever assessment the students will be doing this year before they, to keep up with revision. You've got to, it's got to be manageable each week, hasn't it? So if there are any questions, do get in touch with your history teacher if you have any worries or things that I haven't covered in this video. Thank you very much for watching. One question that you might have is about revision sessions. Previously we would have run these after school on a weekly basis. I don't imagine that we will be running revision sessions at any point this year. However, we might be doing some via Microsoft Teams a bit closer to any assessment that we know about at any point in the future. So there may be some revision sessions, but any that do exist will probably be focused around the idea of exam technique, and we'll expect the students to have a fairly solid basis of knowledge on the topics that are on the revision schedule before they go. So I'm just telling you this because I don't want you to sort of put all your hopes on, I'll just go to the revision sessions later on. There may be some revision sessions, but they won't be comprehensive. They won't be reteaching the course. It's basically impossible. The main kind of takeaway from this video that you should get is that it's really important for you to start after half term, do something each week, make that active, make sure that you're showing your teacher and breaking it up like that, because that's the thing that's going to make you have a good knowledge of these periods, rather than hoping that 1 hour after school is going to be the answer to your worries. Okay, so thank you again for watching, and if there's any questions, do get in touch.